How you going, guys? In this video, let's talk about the difference between non-duality and nihilism. I've made a video in the past on non-duality versus solipsism because they're the two types of philosophies you may think non-duality is pointing to when you're a beginner. Because the teachings of non-duality are very powerful for bringing you into the state of inner peace, but you can fall into these nihilistic traps and solipsistic traps, which I did in the beginning. Solipsism, briefly for anyone that doesn't know, it's the belief that the only thing I know that's real is my mind. I know my mind is conscious. How do I know these other people I'm experiencing are conscious as well? They could be figments of my imagination. How do I know they're conscious? Solipsism is the belief I'm this person and I know I'm real, but how do I know they're real? And then it can develop feelings of paranoia. Non-duality is not saying that. Just quickly, non-duality is saying this life is like a dream. And you as this dream character, in the solipsistic sense, start thinking, I feel real as this dream character, which you don't call yourself. You don't call yourself a dream character, but you think, I'm real. How do I know these other people are real? They could be figments of my imagination. Forgetting, if you feel real as this dream character, that's how real they are. So the dream character you are in this dream cannot dream up other dream characters. Sorry, you're one of them. The people you're looking at with suspicion, you're one of them. You have not dreamt up other dream characters. This person that you think you are is not dreaming up other dream characters. They're made of the same fabric as you. So what should you do with these other dream characters? Love, compassion. Don't freak out. Don't get paranoid. I address more of that in that solipsistic video. But this video is about nihilism. If you've seen a few of my videos or other people speaking about non-duality, no doubt you would have heard me say this. Everything's a belief. Everything's a human construct. There is no truth in reality. But I always end on this. There is no truth. There is no meaning because you are the truth. You are the meaning. And again, if you think I'm talking about this person, you're mistaken. I'm talking about your true self. Non-duality is the realization your true self is the source of all this. Nihilism says there is no meaning to life. Everything's a human construct. But there's a feeling of meaningless to it. That we're in a cold, dark universe, born, living, and die. We're not connected. Find whatever happiness you can, and then we're all going to die anyway. That kind of vibe to it. It's very depressing. And even that's a construct, see? We're on a cold, dark universe. Construct, human belief. Ask the animals, do they believe our theories on the Big Bang, all the stuff we believe as a human? Animals don't think about this. Who has the ultimate view of reality? Us or the animals? Or the plants? Again, we put on the human VR headset and think, this is reality, what we're seeing. No. Non-duality is showing us our essence is consciousness. That feeling of existence cannot be put into language. The feeling you're conscious, the feeling you exist, underpins all this reality. It is unchanging. Take away consciousness, all your beliefs about reality go with it. Non-duality is the study of consciousness, study of your true self. And it's an uplifting teaching. Once you understand what your true self is, once you understand you don't have consciousness, you are consciousness, you realize this, to feel conscious, to realize your true self, doesn't require language. It is that which all language emanates from. And that's what I'm getting at when I say, there is no truth in reality because you are the truth. You are the truth that gives rise to all these apparent truths. So nothing that you believe about this reality can ultimately speak about the truth, but it's made from truth. The best way to view this is, imagine reality like water. That's the fabric of reality. In this example, water. And you're a whirlpool in the water. The fabric of reality is water, that's truth, and you're a whirlpool. What are you made from? Truth. You're made from reality. Now imagine if this whirlpool that you are, and which we do, starts having beliefs and thoughts about reality. What would they be like? Ripples. Think of your thoughts and words about reality as ripples. You're a whirlpool, and you're thinking, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm a Muslim, I'm an atheist. They're just ripples in this water. If you see what I'm pointing at, this is why we always think we're right. The fabric of reality, in this example, is water. You're made from the water. All your thoughts and beliefs about reality are made from the water. But here's the problem. Here's where we get trapped, apparently trapped. We take these ripples of truth that we think are true and take them as reality. I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm an atheist. I'm ultimately in suffering. Because they're made of truth, for you as this whirlpool, they are true. And when we look at the more enlightened whirlpool, the people that have woken up that reality is water, they look at us with all our rippling thoughts of atheism, negativity, or whatever. They look at us and go, technically, they're not in suffering, but simultaneously they are in suffering. And here's honestly why I make these videos, guys. When you kind of wake up to what this reality is, you're waking up to the realization you were never trapped, you just thought you were trapped. Then you look around at others and you got this thing where you're like, ultimately they're not trapped either. But at the same time they are. It would be like, maybe this has happened to you. You may have woken up in bed and your partner is having a nightmare. You know, like they're there and then they're going back and forth. You know they're suffering in their dream. On one hand, you can look at them and go, I'll just let them be because they're going to wake up and ultimately they're not suffering. They're safe in bed. Another way to look at it is, while ultimately they're not in suffering, let me tap them on the shoulder to wake them up. See how it can go both ways. You see them doing this, they're ultimately not in suffering, but in that moment they think they are, so you wake them up. And that's ultimately why many enlightened beings, just quickly, before I get back to the main point, many enlightened beings get this truth and then just remain silent. They don't get involved in the world because once you wake up to the truth of your true self, you realize it's the true self of all. It takes one to know one. What you think of yourself, you think of others. What you think you're experiencing, you think others are experiencing. So some enlightened beings wake up and just realize they do the first option. Yeah, people are in bed, tossing and turning. They think they're in suffering, but ultimately they're not. I'll let them be. Because they know eventually they're going to wake up anyway. Other people that wake up look at us, tossing and turning and go, ultimately they're going to be all right, but let me quicken their awakening. Let me shake them on the shoulder, wake them up. So that's just quickly what the enlightened are doing. Some don't talk about it, which is true. They don't have to. Others, what's the problem with talking about it? See how reality is a paradox made of language. And that's another thing non-duality is pointing to. You can't understand reality with dualistic thinking. Because the nature of yourself is prior to dualistic thinking that all these dualistic concepts come out of. And our mind, being a concept, wants to know, is it black, white? Is it right, wrong? It's both. And quickly getting back to nihilism, these feelings of I'm negative, what's the point of life? Might as well get whatever happiness I can. Why help others? It's all meaningless anyway. That feeling of separation, emptiness, depression can come from nihilistic thoughts and beliefs. And when you first get into non-duality, I kind of had that feeling. When you hear all this is a construct, all this is a beliefs, why even worship a god, all this kind of stuff. I had nihilistic tendencies. I had solipsistic tendencies. And here's the thing, guys. This is what I'm going to tell you. If you're into non-duality and you're feeling negative, feeling isolated, feeling paranoid, that's still your ego. That's what you need to understand. This teaching, once it fully is integrated and understood, you're going to feel a sense of inner peace. You're going to feel a sense of humor for your life and your problems. You're not going to spiritually bypass. But what I'm saying is you're going to have a lighthearted feel to life. Your ego makes everything serious and separate. Your true self makes everything light-hearted and connected. So a sense of humor about your own problems while you're still trying to fix them, and love and compassion for others. Non-duality is about unity, oneness, love, realizing the first Mahavakya in Hinduism. Mahavakya means a great saying. There's 4 of them in Hinduism. There's actually more, but there's 4 that represent Hinduism. The first one is Pragyama Brahma. Brahman is consciousness. God is consciousness, and God is all there is. Second Mahavakya, Tattvamasi. You are that. God is all there is. God is consciousness. What about me? You are that. You and God are consciousness. The fabric of you and God are one. God is all there is. You're just acting very different roles. And once that fully is realized, you look at this world as yourself. There's the one being appearing separate. And I stress appearing. It never actually is, just like in a dream. Your one undivided mind appears like a material world with separate people and objects, but it's all made of dream stuff. It's all made of a conscious mind. That's what non-duality is pointing to in this reality. So you don't look at this world and go, nothing's real, no one's real, let me isolate myself. Initially, maybe, because you need to detach from this reality to realize your true self. But eventually you need to absorb this reality back into yourself. You and this reality are one. That's why the feelings of love and compassion come. You realize to look at others is to look at myself in a different form. And again, that's why you start devoting to a God. Brahman, your true self, is the source of all existence. It's the ground of all being, Brahman, which you emerge out of as a character, and God. You are not God, God isn't you, but you're coming from the one source. As the Christian mystic Meister Eckhart said, the ground of my being and God's being are one. So when you realize it's the one fabric appearing separate, you still call on the mechanic, don't you? Whether you think reality is separate or one, you still call on a mechanic if you can't fix your car. You still call on a plumber. You still get into relationships. The one fabric playing very different roles. So of course, why not to devote to a higher power? Our self in Hinduism is the one undivided consciousness associated with one body and mind. God in Hinduism is the one undivided consciousness associated with all bodies and minds. You have a little bit of intelligence, God has all the intelligence. You have a little bit of power, God has all the power. So you don't have to. In Hinduism, God is seen as an impersonal, personal God. Ultimately impersonal, but can appear in any personal form you choose. And I had a death grip on this, guys. I did not want to devote. I grew up in religion, became an atheist, went into Buddhism, which don't really talk about God. Even when I got into these teachings, did not want to touch the God teaching. Eventually, I had to submit. Because submitting, prayer, devotion, humbles the ego. There's your ego and God. Remove God, there's only ego. It's all about you. It's the one appearing separate. Everyone should serve me, my needs. Oh, who cares if I hurt them? It's one appearing separate anyway. You need God to humble this little ego. How real is God? As real as you take yourself. How real is God? As real as you take these other characters. If you're wanting to hang around some people and avoid others, you should be believing in a God. If you enjoy some experiences but not others, you should be believing in a God. And why is that? Because if you truly thought this is the one appearing separate, and you are that one, and you feel enlightened, you should be in a state of equanimity under all times, whether you're around this person or that person, this experience, that experience. And internally, no more desire. Why would they? When the wave realizes it's the ocean, why do you prefer this water over that? Why do you try to run to this water and avoid that water? And I'm only stressing this to say, how real should you take a higher intelligence? Again, as real as you take yourself and other people. If you pray to this higher intelligence, it will give you what you ask for in time. And I can honestly attest to that. I was very stubborn. I was an atheist. I was all that stuff. And again, you know what? You don't have to. But I'm saying you're going to eventually. This is where all this is leading. Trust me. If you're into these teachings, you're headed in that direction. And as always, guys, I kind of go off the main point. I get excited. But to sum up, difference between nihilism and non-duality. Nihilism will give you the feeling of emptiness, meaningless, separation, isolation. Thinking this life is meaningless, it's all a human construct. We're born, living, and die. Who cares ultimately? It's an uncaring world in an uncaring universe. What is non-duality saying? Saying, yes, ultimately this is all human constructs. None of what we experience is truth, but it's made of truth. Reality isn't a dream, it's like one. A dream you can wake up from. The dreams you have at night are dreams. You think you're experiencing a world, then you wake up here and go, oh, it was just an imagination. But this is like a dream, not a dream. Like a dream in the sense, you wake up to the fact that you're pure being, you're pure knowing, you're pure consciousness. But for pure consciousness to know something, it needs to appear as a world and a person. Its nature is to know, so it needs to know something, but it can only know itself, appearing as not itself. So the difference is you don't wake up to a bigger reality, you wake up to the fact of your true nature. And then you look back at this reality and realize the fabric, the substance of me, I, and other are one. That's why you're not going to feel empty. You're not going to feel like life is meaningless. You're not going to feel insignificant. It's going to uplift you. You're going to have a sense of humor and happiness internally and love and compassion for others that are still technically, like I said before, you can look at them and go, ultimately they're fine. They're trapped in a dream, eventually going to wake up from. I can leave them. Or you can do the other alternative. Yeah, they're in a dream, but let me just wake them up. Because right now they're in suffering, let me wake them up. It can go either way. There is ultimately no right and wrong. Once you wake up, just to repeat, there is no right and wrong. You can let this world be as it is, or you can help. Because again, you're going to have a lot of love and compassion. It's just part of it. It's a byproduct of this. So if deep down you don't want to feel love and compassion, if you've got a lot of hate in your heart because you've been hurt before or whatever, yeah, maybe not go down this spiritual awakening path because it's going to flood you. All this love and compassion is going to flood you and pour out into this reality. So if you're not ready for it, okay, stay in ignorance as a coping mechanism. That's fine. That is totally fine, guys. Because that's what you're in for, love and compassion. A lot of empathy. And if you're not feeling that, you're not there yet. Because feelings of hate, apathy, separation come from ego. That's the simple test. Do you feel separate, depressed, apathetic? You might be experiencing nihilism. But if you feel love, compassion, oneness, unity, non-duality is taking effect. So that's what you're in for. As always, guys, I hope this makes sense. I just go off into these little rants. I push record and then start ranting. So I hope it helped in some way. As always, take care, eh? See ya.